So, Naughty Dog is forcing crunch on employees for Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. And it's not out till 2027, and they're starting now? I saw one post that said it's actually for a internal demo. Listen, the fans aren't taking this too well online. And a lot of the fans are basically like, take your time. You don't have to force overtime. That rhyme, don't hate to play the game bars. Because we don't care anyway. Like, nobody cares about this game. Like, take your time. Go at a snail's pace to get it out. Because it's just more modern audience garbage. And it's the truth. And unless you're going to take it out before you get it out, everyone knows you're playing. We saw what the actress said, that people are just going to play it anyway. Right. Like they ended up playing The Last of Us 2 anyway. Yeah, that didn't happen. But it sold like half as much as the first one. Come on now, please. This one ain't going to make the numbers that you want neither. And people don't like to hear that you're forcing overtime on your employees. I've never liked that. The only business that I was ever in that I think where they forced overtime or forced us to do certain things like, you know, you got to do this or you can't leave the office. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get an appointment for tomorrow or you're fired. They used to say crap like that to try to scare you. After you were on to their game, you already knew what they were doing. There was like, there was a real frat type of hazing culture in the one I was in. I was in what they call a rat house. A rat house is, I was in a high volume rat house. Car salespeople are going to know exactly what I'm talking about right away. But they sold a lot of cars, but they sold to people with bad credit. Like all of their commercials were geared toward people with bad credit. So rats are people with bad credit. And it was just all this. We had a chart that had all of our names on it, right? And the amount of cars that you sold. And I believe the number was 10 that they wanted you to sell every month. However, on the way to 10 on the chart was the word, all the letters for unemployed. So if you sold under that, you were unemployed. Get it? So there's always this looming threat of being fired. And after you got to know them, you knew that they weren't going to fire you. Although there was a whole lot of a-hole behavior in there. A whole lot of it. Like I was going to beat the hell out of this manager one time. And I remember I told one of the other managers that I was cool with. I said, listen, and like he knew that I wasn't joking because they never see Tyrone get like this. You know, I'm a person that controls my temper very well, you know. But at this point, I was ready to do him. And I was, it was going to be dynamite. Okay, I'm telling you right now. And I think he said something to him. I think I told him, I said, tell him what I said. And he didn't say nothing to me for the whole rest of the day. And that's how I knew he was scared. And I knew he had stepped over he knew he had stepped over the line with me. Like So as you can see, I'm an advocate for employees. Listen, but at the same time, employees, you do what you signed up to do. Do what you signed up to do. I don't care if something is tradition in a business. If it ain't right, stop it. So if, you know, forced crunch and overtime and all the type of stress and threatening your job, because I know what goes on in these, and I've been in other corporate positions and seen how they force certain things. They force it without force it. They say it without saying it. Certain things with corporate speak, you know what I mean? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Never been a fan of that, stressing people the hell out, all to make a number or make a deadline. Give them enough time. How about that? How How about you give them enough time in the first place? That way you won't have to crunch. But anyway. So, The Last of Us studio notoriously struggled with overwork on previous projects. Last year, The Last of Us developer Naughty Dog released a documentary on the making of the game's 2020 sequel and attempted to discuss the studio's reported problems with overwork and crunch. The video ended on a note indicating that things had improved, but it sounds like the team is facing a similar struggle with its upcoming PS5 game, Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. Bloomberg reports that Naughty Dog had developers working mandatory overtime as it races to complete a demo of the sci-fi action game for Sony to review, despite a planned release date that is still years away. The mandatory overtime reportedly began in October, with staff being asked to work a minimum of 8 extra hours a week and logging them on an internal spreadsheet. 8 extra hours. That's an extra day. That's an extra day. This was in an effort to get the game production back on track after several missed deadlines. I wonder if they're changing things. You know what I'm saying? I wonder if they're changing things. You know, that seems to be an ongoing rumor with movies, certain movies and shows and games. That certain things are getting delayed, pushed back. And then at the end of the day, because you're not going to meet your deadline, because you're removing the modern audience garbage, then you force overtime on people to get it done in time for the deadline that you originally had planned. You know what I mean? That's one of the reasons people think that GTA ain't coming out this year. They think that it's coming out next year because they know how heated fans are about this modern audience garbage, and they don't want it in the next game. And they think that they're taking it out. So who knows? But though developers were also told not to work more than 60 hours a week. Yeah, I used to work stuff like that. That's, I personally don't believe in it, even though I believe in working hard. I believe in being a hard worker, but be efficient. You get what I'm saying? Be efficient. Sometimes the way certain people work, they're banging their head against a wall. And eventually it's going to damage you. All that stress, all that overtime, all that, And they kind of teach that in certain success circles, to work 60 hours or more a week. And, I would say do that if it doesn't bother you. But if you're showing signs of fatigue, mental fatigue, and overwork and stress, you need to cut back. Like when you have a vision and you're working on, especially business owners, self-employed business owners and stuff like that. Like I probably put in, I don't know how many hours I put in for YouTube, but I put in a lot because you're always researching other videos to do and looking at this and looking at that, and you put in a lot more than you think you do. There are times where I think, okay, I'm gonna get out these videos real quick, and it ends up being 5 hours later, and I'm like, that should have only taken me, you know what I'm saying? Like what? But it gets like that. But when it's not, a threat to your sanity, and it feels good, work as long as you want. But when it's tearing people down, that's when, come on now. During this period, a new mandatory return to office order was also pushed through, requiring everyone to be on site in Santa Monica studio 5 days a week rather than the typical 3. According to Bloomberg sources, employees had to find an alternative care arrangements for children and pets. That's a damn shame. This follows older reports that, that's why I suggest that everyone, cultivates a high financial IQ. You need to learn how money works, investments work, and all that stuff as much as possible. That way you'll have FU money way earlier than the normal person would ever think they would have it. If you truly learn to invest properly, and if you become, you get a feverish love of investing and learning money and, all that stuff. Some people, they just quit and they just invest. You guys have heard of day traders and all of that, you know what I mean? They do stuff that most people would never think you did, they're their own boss and they don't have to be a day trader, but it's just learning how to invest properly. And no matter what it is, there's several things you can invest in, I even met a dude the other day that says he's a sports gambler. No, that's not investing, but that's something I'm like, so you ain't got no job. You just bet on games? That's how you live? Some dudes are multi-millionaires from that. Hey, if you're good at it, you're good at it. Okay, you know what I mean? But I couldn't be in the industry that abuses me. I just can't. That's why I don't sell cars anymore. This follows older reports that Naughty Dog had hired a new team of producers specifically meant to help activate the team's crunch problems. But according to Bloomberg, several of them have already left the company, while select members of the team reportedly worked overtime to finish Intergalactic's debut trailer back in 2024. This new overtime requirement has applied to most of the staff. Management reportedly told workers that the company will return to its usual 3-day in-office requirement in January, with a more detailed breakdown coming from the team returns from holiday break. The Bloomberg story signs off with an ironic anecdote saying that the team was given metal coins to commemorate the game's ongoing development, which included text of a quote from the game. The suffering of generations must be endured to achieve our divine end. Wow. That's almost like a slap in the face. Reports of Naughty Dog's crunching date back years, with The Last of Us Part 2's development being one of the most notorious. Man, let me tell you something. I was going to be a video game programmer. That was what I wanted to do. Okay, so there are different things in my life where I pivoted because of certain thing, me finding out certain things. You know what I mean? It's like, I wanted to become a world-class sprinter. That's what I wanted to be. You know what I mean? Gold medalist in the Olympics, all that great stuff. However, after I transitioned to college, I started training, and I learned that 99%, if not all, of Olympic athletes are on steroids. They're on PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs. So because they're on performance-enhancing drugs, I fear performance-enhancing drugs and their side effects and what they can do to you. So I dropped that goal. All right? And I had the ability, but I dropped that goal. There is no way. If that's how you have to compete, then no. And I found out, of course, as I got older, that a lot of professional sports, the majority, almost everybody's on it anyway. It's an open secret. The people that get caught, they just get caught, and the rest are like, yeah, I didn't know. They're such a cheater. Oh my God. Meanwhile, they're on it too. It's a whole game that they play. And then after that, I wanted to become a video game programmer. I was like, I love playing video games. Why not make them? I love playing video games. Like the gaming was my life. If YouTube gaming streaming had popped up when I was a teenager, I almost guarantee I would be a multi-millionaire gamer at that age. I almost guarantee you, I did not leave my room. I tried to master every video game that I could, and I was extremely good at Street Fighter 2. I would have been a champ or like in the top 10 in the world. I'm telling you right now, I was just unstoppable back then. Took my first computer programming class. After a few weeks, I was like, this is not for me. Oh, this is boring. I like playing them. I don't like making them. You know what I'm saying? Oh, good Lord. So, then at one point, I wanted to become a model. I was in great shape. Actually became a model, but didn't end up pursuing it. Dropped it because of life difficulties and other issues, but then pursued it again. And once I did, my manager wanted me to be an actor also. So I took up acting, became an actor, pivoted, so to speak, because she said, well, look, that's fine if you want to model, but you need to learn to act too, because we're both going to make more money. So I'm like, okay, I get it. Up the ante, became an actor, and left modeling to the wayside because I enjoyed acting more. And pursued that. Became an actor. Won IMTA. Appeared in several, small projects. And the big goal, of course, as you all know, was to be in the major movies. I've now pivoted because they're making a whole bunch of modern audience garbage. Nobody wants it. Hollywood is suffering. Gaming is suffering. Comic books are suffering. TV is suffering. Who wants to be in a suffering business and make things that they don't want to make? And it feels like drudgery. I may want to one day return to that goal of wanting to be in big movies. But until they change the road that they're on, hell no. Because I am now a successful mainstream entertainer on YouTube. I do very well for myself, and I am doing just fine. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you all think. If you enjoy my thoughts on this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share. 10 million subscribers. Woo!